Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, and you're watching Taped with Rabbi Doug.
We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug on your TV tonight.
But Daddy, I want to watch Monday Night Football.
Forget about Monday Night Football. There's no other thing we're going to watch on Monday but Rabbi Doug.
Yeah, Rabbi Doug on TV tonight. We're gonna see Rabbi Doug. Oh, everybody talk about Doug.
Shalom and welcome to Taped with Rabbi Doug. We are here once again at AIPAC Policy Conference 13, and I'm here with my good friend Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, who is back once again.
You told me that I was your best friend.
You are not only my best friend, but you're also one of my most popular, if not my most popular guest on my TV show. I get more comments about you than anybody else who may have on it.
Can you elaborate on that, please?
Shmuley Boteach, TV star, author,
America's Rabbi.
America's Rabbi, Rabbi Efrem Goldberg from Boca Raton, Florida, and we are here at AIPAC Conference 13.
I'm here all by myself. He's got like a cheering section. There you go. He's got like his whole congregation here. Like
Henchmen. Well, thank God they all know me too.
Even my own wife won't listen to a word I have to say, so, I mean, I've already lost. Let me concede defeat in this debate. Let me take my yarmulke off to you.
So Rabbi Goldberg,
yes,
we are here. What do you think about this Policy Conference 13 to begin with? I want to hear yours and Rabbi Shmuley's thoughts on. Do you think things are moving to the left, moving to the right, central? How do you think things are going?
I think it's a great policy conference. They've worked out a lot of the logistics, but the essential issue is AIPAC's potency and their power in the world. All the articles that have come out recently, including by my dear friend Shmuley, about AIPAC's silence in the face of the Hegel nomination, and the criticism of AIPAC, and I think that's a little bit of an underlying question, didn't have the power, didn't pack the punch that it's had in the past. It's not an election year, it doesn't have some of the high-profile speakers, and there's a question of AIPAC's power. But I would argue that Israel is only as strong as AIPAC.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Strong lobbying in the U.S. advocating for the U.S.-Israel relationship. We need a strong AIPAC, and if we have criticism, we should share it internally. To the extent we share it externally, we weaken AIPAC, and therefore, by extension, we weaken Israel.
So do you not believe that was divine providence?
Right in the middle.
That your soliloquy was interrupted halfway through, almost like God was showing disfavor on this particular opinion. Everything's a scope of providence. Everything is providential. Notice I'm speaking now. I don't hear some giant voice interrupting me, because Efrem, I love you, but you're wrong. The purpose.
I hope that's not the extent of your argument.
That's it. You're wrong, and you must accept my authority. It's time for you to submit to the overwhelming, compelling logic that I have yet to offer.
So Rabbi Shmuley, tell us, what do you think about this? I mean, we know that AIPAC doesn't endorse people or unendorse people. That's policy. But we also know in this case that only 2 people have ever been not approved by Congress that have been appointed to the cabinet. What do you think about this whole thing?
Well, the purpose of the pro-Israel group is to be pro-Israel. AIPAC's the best. That's why I'm here. This is, I've been coming to Policy Conference for 20 years. Missed a few, but I've been here for about 20 years. And to see that it's grown to this level is astonishing and miraculous. Having said all that, I believe that AIPAC has to expand its definition of that which constitutes a friendly incumbency. A friendly incumbency right now is judged and determined principally by congressmen, senators voting on foreign aid. But if they're verbally critical of Israel and say things that are outrageous and beyond outrageous, they can still be considered a friendly incumbent. Bill Bush wrote Iran. Signed the Gaza Control Letter. He's a friendly incumbent because he was voting for it. But Hegel took it to a different level. And Hegel said things that were deeply offensive. He said that Israel had locked the Palestinians up in a cage. He said that he's an American senator, not an Israeli senator. The typical charge of dual loyalty and so unfairly waged against our community. He voted against Iranian sanctions. He was a bad choice as Secretary of Defense. More than anything else, I'm an American, a patriotic, passionate American, and he was bad for the United States. Anyone who watched his confirmation hearings could see he was not up to the job. He did not even know administration policy. He said that the administration's policy on Iran is containment, and it's not containment; it's prevention. The United States is dedicated to stopping Iran from getting a nuclear weapon.
I don't disagree with one thing you said.
So
the question is,
in the interest of Jewish unity, you want to stifle dissent. And on the contrary, the the very essence of the Jewish community is robust, vigorous debate.
Agreed, and I'm
We're not
deeply
Cairo,
grateful.
we're not Tehran, we don't study.
I'm deeply grateful for the Zionist Organization of America, the COA, the Republican Jewish Coalition, who were very outspokenly vocal on confronting the Hegel nomination. That's their mission. I'm grateful they're doing their great work.
Why? Because
That's
he's
not
a Republican?
AIPAC.
He's not an idiot.
No.
He's a Republican, not even a Democrat.
They were our voice. They were expressing our opposition. That's their mandate. That's not AIPAC's mandate. AIPAC is a single and focused policy organization trying to influence policy, not influencing candidates, influencing policy. We know they were working behind the scenes, but they made a calculated decision. The Hegel nomination was not the hill they were going to die on, and there were other things at stake, including the threat from Iran. And in having to determine who's the better judge of whether the Hegel nomination poses an existential threat, one that we should lose our access and lose our voice, is it us or is it AIPAC who speaks to the Prime Minister of Israel daily? I'll defer to AIPAC any day of the week.
Well, we don't know what those conversations in AIPAC and the Minister of Israel are, so that's not a fair argument. Unless you're privy to them, I'm certain.
Well, I didn't want to talk about it.
But on the contrary, Efrem, for anyone to insinuate that AIPAC and its supporters don't have opinions on certain legislators and candidates for the United States Congress and the United States Senate is guided. Obviously, we support those who are pro-Israel and we oppose those who are opposed to Israel. That's the mandate of this lobbying organization, the people who support it. They, while it may not be tacitly said, the point is the people here are going to support those candidates who have a strong pro-Israel record or who are dedicated before they're even elected to Israel's survival, Israel's security, Israel's prosperity. Chuck Hagel does not fit into that description.
Well, you describe it as a private individual,
and I'll tell you,
not as an organization.
And in my article, what I did was I compared Hagel to the famous speech that I heard from Tom Nye in 1981, executive director of AIPAC, where he said that George H.W. Bush's comments about AIPAC and the opposition to Israel receiving loan guarantees that were not tied to the total freeze and settlements.
Ladies and gentlemen, the AIPAC village will be closing in 10
Divine
minutes.
Providence striking again.
You got me. But Tom Dine said that they would live in infamy when President Bush made those comments. And I remember a shiver going down my spine. And wow, the executive director of AIPAC is thinking of the president. Don't get me wrong. I love AIPAC. I love Mariupol. I love the presidents of AIPAC. I have many of them are friends. It's an amazing organization. It doesn't mean that we can't sometimes disagree.
We can agree to disagree.
Exactly.
We can disagree, but I would argue that when we disagree with AIPAC publicly, we weaken AIPAC, we weaken their impact, and ultimately it doesn't help us.
And that's why we're going to continue to support AIPAC and hope that they make all the right decisions and support their policy.
At the end of the day, that's why we're all here. That's why we're all great to see good friends here.
All right.
I do accept, however, what you're saying, that given that I have a Twitter feed of 4 billion people,
Correct.
that even a tiny little tweet can impact policy, world history, and even the spinning of the Earth on its axis. So those are serious issues. I stand corrected.
Good to see you.
Rabbis, great to see you. Rabbi Boteach, before you go, just tell us what your new book is.
My new book is called Boca Raton. It should be called Shmuley Raton. Rename the city. Rabbi Goldberg needs to finally succumb, surrender, capitulate. It's called The Fed Up Man of Faith. I should really give a speech about this in your shul, The Fed Up Man of Faith. It's about how in the face of suffering, we have to challenge God. We have a right to challenge God. The word Israel means he who argues or wrestles with God. I don't believe in the spiritual man of surrender. I believe in the defiant man of faith. And Judaism creates defiant people of faith. And I believe that those who think that suffering is somehow ennobling, purifying, that suffering has some sort of redemptive purpose, that is a position that Judaism rejects. Christianity believes that someone has to die on a cross in order for mankind to achieve redemption. Judaism does not believe that suffering is redemptive. We try to purge suffering from the earth. Our mandate is tikkun olam, which is to repair the world through medical research and through feeding the hungry and clothing the naked and ending the suffering rather than explaining the suffering. So the book of Pidiyei suffering.
Very nice. Rabbi Shmuley Boteach, Rabbi Efrem Goldberg, stay with us here at Policy Conference 13 right here on Tape with Rabbi Doug.
And I think Efrem Goldberg made some very, Very good points. Even though he ultimately lost completely. I mean, it was just, even though the debate was a rout, nevertheless, I believe that there were some meaningful points that were made.
That's a huge concession.
I'll take it. I'll take it. For example, some of the meaningful points were made when you said, Shmuley, I agree with you completely. I felt that those were actually some of the most enlightening things you said. Thank you, everybody.
Stay with us. Shkoyach. Shkoyach. Thank you so much.
What an incredible start to our conference. Our next speaker was an elite commando, IDF Chief of Staff, an architect of the raid on Entebbe, Foreign Affairs Minister, Defense Minister, Prime Minister. Ehud Barak has literally done it all in the service of Israel. We are honored today to be joined by one of the titans of Israel. Throughout his illustrious career, Ehud Barak has been at the heart of Israel's defense and political relationship with the United States. Through his many trips to the United States, whether to meet with presidents, secretaries of state, or defense, Mr. Barak has, without equal, helped strengthen and maintain the U.S.-Israel relationship. It is an honor to welcome him to our stage in the final weeks of his nearly 6-year tenure as Israel's defense minister. Please join me in welcoming Ehud Barak.
Thank you for such a warm welcome. What an indescribable feeling to be surrounded by so many true friends in the capital of the world's greatest democracy. Members of the administration, members of Congress, distinguished ambassadors, especially our ambassador, Michael Owen, Michael, Rosie, Bob, David, Howard, and Richard, AIPAC board members, older and young, good evening to you all. It is your toil and your graft, your unwavering support that keep us safe. I have 6 humble words for all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I would like to express my personal appreciation to President Obama and Secretary Panetta for their resolute backing of Israel. History will surely record your immeasurable contribution to the strength of Israel and the maintenance of the truly special relationship between our two peoples. On behalf of the people of Israel, I wish Secretary Hagel all the best in his new role. As Secretary of Defense, he will no doubt serve his country with the same pride and honor with which he served both on the battlefield and in Congress. It is great to see so many young activists here. Thank you. Thank you for your energetic commitment to Israel, a commitment which is so lucidly dictated by the head. yet so deeply underpinned by the heart. Keep it up. You are the future. It is thanks to the rock-solid US-Israel relationship, alongside the devotion of the young men and women of the IDF, that our capacity to defend ourselves has been guaranteed for years to come. With US support combined with the ingenuity of our scientists, Israel finds itself at the cutting edge of missile defense technology. The Iron Dome recently intercepted over 400 incoming terrorist rockets. Practically, it's like hitting a bullet with another bullet. And we did it. Just last week, we, the United States and Israel, conducted an extremely successful exo-atmospheric test of the Arrow 3 interceptor. That's the future of our missile defense. The state of Israel simply would not be the strong island of stability it is without one crucial constant. You, the United States of America, its people, its leadership, its Congress, and of course its Jewish community. It is no secret, and I'll repeat it again, that we live in a tough neighborhood, where there is no mercy for the weak and no second chance for those who cannot defend themselves. Israel is the strongest country in the region and the only genuinely open democracy. An unprecedented geopolitical earthquake in the last 3 years has shattered the generations-old regional order. There are two clear lessons and one insight which I have drawn from this period. Number one, be modest with predictions, especially about the future. Take Egypt as an example. Mubarak was unable to predict it. Who did? Who thinks he could? Number two, when friends tell me, don't worry, if worse come to worst, the world will step forward and act. My answer is, do not take this for granted. Look at Syria. You don't need classified intelligence. It's on your screens. Assad's jet fighters, tanks and artillery are slaughtering his own citizens. Over 70,000 Syrians killed. Yet still, there is no sense of direction and no political will to act. There is an extremely relevant lesson here, especially for all of us in Israel. And an insight. Many believe that the root cause for all the problems in the Middle East is our inability to solve the conflict with the Palestinians. Well, I say that's not true. Recent developments in the Middle East have been far beyond our control and independent of our deeds. Even if a peace agreement with the Palestinians had been signed and sealed a long time ago, the Muslim Brotherhood would still have come to power in Egypt. Syria would still be mired in a bloody civil war, and Iran would still be pursuing nuclear capabilities and a hegemonical role in the Gulf. Ladies and gentlemen, we are at a decisive juncture in our history. As President Kennedy noted during the Cuban Missile Crisis, the path we have chosen for the present is full of hazards, as all paths are, but it is the one most consistent with our character and courage as a nation. End of quote. I believe we possess the character and courage as a nation to make those tough decisions for the future peace and security of the State of Israel. Please allow me to end with the millennia-old blessing, Hashem oz le'amo yiten, Hashem yevarech et amo b'shalom. May the Lord bestow His people with courage. May the Lord bless His people with peace. Thank you all.
Roger Sofer of the AIPAC Board.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor to welcome a true leader and a strong friend of Israel. My friend, our friend, Israel's friend, Republican Whip, Senator John Cornyn of Texas. Roger, thank you very much. As you heard, Roger accompanied me on my first trip to Israel back in 2002. And since that time, he and his wife, Lyndon, have become dear friends to my wife, Sandy, and me. I want to thank Roger and Howard Core, Marvin Foyer, and all my other friends here at AIPAC for inviting me to speak here tonight. It's a tremendous honor and privilege. I'm especially grateful to be asked to speak in light of Congress's current approval ratings. In all seriousness, I understand why many Americans look at Washington, D.C. these days and shake their heads. It often seems that every single issue here in Washington turns into a political football sooner or later. However, I want to assure you that the issue of U.S. support for Israel, we've been able to maintain an overwhelming bipartisan consensus. But that should come as no surprise. We know that the strong support for Israel on Capitol Hill reflects the strong support for Israel in our cities, towns, and communities across America. We know that Americans feel a special kinship with Israel because our countries share common values: liberty, equality, and human rights. America and Israel have stayed true to these values, even though we've had to respond to murderous attacks by some of the most ruthless terrorist organizations on the planet. In the face of all of these security challenges, the U.S.-Israel alliance remains a symbol of democracy and resilience. It is an alliance, as I said, based on common values and a common determination to defend freedom against terrorists and dictators alike. Now more than ever, America needs a strong Israel, and Israel needs a strong America. Thank you very much.
Senator John McCain.
What's happening in Iran, obviously the centrifuges are spinning. The latest effort at conciliation and some kind of agreement with the Iranians have failed, and it's very clear that they are on the path to having a nuclear weapon. And I don't think it's a question of whether, it's obviously a question of when. We have one of the most foremost experts, my hero, Ehud Barak, who is very well aware of this issue. Look, the Iranians are watching what happened in North Korea. They just set off another nuclear device. We made concession after concession under both Bush and Obama administrations, and it turned into failure. So, Dan, I know we have a short amount of time. I think that this latest offer on the part of the United States and our allies was doomed to failure, and if in Tehran, I think it is viewed as a weakness because of additional concessions. But it is vitally important that in Tehran they understand that the United States, that there is no space between the United States and Israel, that there is no space between two countries. I'm going to give you a little straight talk. They believe right now in Tehran that there is space between the two countries. If there's one thing that I would hope that the president's re-election would motivate him to work more closely with the Israeli government and take concerted action if that action is necessary.
That's it for part 2 here at the AIPAC Policy Conference 13. I want to thank you for being with us. Remember, you can check out our website, www.tvrabbi.com, where you can also see our shows on the web. And if you want to email us, you can email us at info@tvrabbi.com. You won't want to miss our next show, so be sure to stay with us every week at this time, right here on Taped with Rabbi Doug. Shalom, everyone.
Our distinguished guest is here to share his insights based on his insider's knowledge and contact with the inner workings of Palestinian society. His experiences have been born out of his experience in Tzahal, and he really is a phenomenal guy, an incredible journalist, and we are so lucky to have him with us today. So without further ado, I bring up now my new friend, Avi Issacharoff.
That Hamas is getting more and more involved in all kinds of dirty stories, in drug dealing, for example, in smuggling, of course, in the tunnels. They control, for example, the tunnels. We're talking about hundreds of tunnels that operated during the last couple of years that, in a way, managed to keep Gaza alive. Tons and tons and tons of goods that were passed from the Egyptian side to Gaza Strip. And Hamas was making a lot of money from those tunnels. They were taxing those tunnels. Each and every pack of cigarettes that was smuggled into Gaza, each and every donkey or a camel that was smuggled through the tunnels, they took taxes. Cars, hundreds of brand new BMWs that were smuggled into Gaza through those tunnels. Yes, when we talk about tunnels, you probably think about a very small, dark tunnel. This is not the case. We're talking about roads. You know, one of my friends in the West Bank told me that he's about to visit the Gaza Strip. Said, how, are you going to cross the tunnels? I said, yes. And what, are you going to crawl through the tunnels? I said, no, I'm going to take a cab from the Egyptian side to the Palestinian side. So that gives you an idea about what is going on in Gaza. And you suddenly understand how come the Gaza Strip, the so-called under siege Gaza, has an economic boom in the last year. Before Pillar of Defense operation, and even after that. Yes, dear rabbis, there is no more siege of the Gaza. This myth, this legend doesn't exist anymore. The tunnels are completely opened. The Kerem Shalom passage is completely open. 400 trucks per day are being passed from the Israeli side into Gaza Strip. This is not a siege. This is not an economic siege even. And this is why we see this kind of economic boom, a real estate boom in Gaza Strip. Will that hold for long? I'm not that sure. I don't know. But this is the case of Gaza Strip. Now, let me summarize this and say, look, I don't know if we're heading to a third uprising or not. This thing that we see right in front of our eyes, I must say, that people understand that a new escalation against Israel will happen sooner or later. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. Thank you very much.
This has been a Taped with Rabbi Doug production.